Hello, welcome to Mending Threads. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. We welcome you to Mind, Body, Spirit Transformation series on topics that will actually bring change, help you to get unstuck, to give you a whole idea of what creating possibilities can be. So today we have a topic of boundaries. And I want to say that boundaries are so important for us now, having come through and going through trauma, new trauma, cultural trauma, environmental trauma, and that we're looking at a topic of healing and how healing arts can help us with our boundary setting, beliefs building, and setting health direction for us at this particular time. There are two areas of boundaries we want to cover today. And one will be those kinds of boundaries that are related to rules and that govern us, to how those rules govern our dynamics and who we are in our community. And the other will be personal boundaries and how that relates to our healing in the arts. So, what we're going to do is bring on first our personal boundary setting. And we have with us two people, and we also have an attorney. So, I'm going to say this: we have with us Professor Harris, who is a renowned person in the community in the music and healing arts, who has been a professor, a retired professor from Texas Southern University here in Houston, Texas, and also emphasizes the healing arts through the People's Work Family Workshop. And so I want to bring on now Professor Harris. And then we have, secondly, coming on Miss Ann Lassier, who looks at healing through music as well. And she is the director, chair, and leader of Women in Music here in Houston, and also a couple of ministries, as well as the ministry here with the Women's Resource Center. So I'm going to bring on at this time both Professor Harris and Miss Ann Lassier. Professor Howard Harris and Miss Ann Lassier. And then I want you to know about Dr. Robinette, who is going to look at the second part more intently after I want her to be on to respond to them. She is with the Robinette Law Firm here in Houston. And she does a lot of work in medical history and medical interventions as it relates to law. And she also is certified and legally in, I think it's family law and business law here in Houston. So she brings a wealth of information. So I'm going to bring on as well. I know we're getting some kind of backdrop with the sound, but we're going to bring on Dr. Robinette. Okay. I want to welcome all of you to Mending Threads this morning. We're talking about a topic that is so central to everything that's going on. So I want to first open up with Miss Ann Lassier and Professor Harris. So I want Attorney Robinette to really hear this and respond. So when we look at personal boundaries, we know that trauma in the brain, trauma brings on a whole different way of perceiving situations. And history has told us, even medical history tells us that music helps us center us. That even though we have the left brain or the cortex that gives us logic and information, and we have the amygdala that deals with emotions, we have the corpus callosum that brings balance. And what it's saying is that we have avoided looking at the damage that happens to people to take them off balance during traumatic situation that brings separation between the way the brain works. One thing that we do know is that music and the arts and movement brings back balance. And so we're going to talk about what boundaries we're going to define for this show as ways in which we limit things, mark things off, dividing lines, separate, and the understanding. So I'm just going to ask Ms. Lassier who does puppet ministry in the churches. She also looks at music, um, and she's over one of the music groups. So I'm going to ask her to name the music group because I know I misrepresented the music group. I've appeared on it, but I misrepresented the name. So if you could tell us the name of your music group here in Houston.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me very well?
You're
Okay.
among other people, but yes.
Yes, ma'am. The name of the organization is the Association of Females.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Wait, I can't even get it myself. Okay.
Yes.
The National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment, rather known as NABFEM. And
Yes.
the basic goal of the organization is to bring, we don't just focus on women, we have men, we call them rocks. But the main focus is bringing women and men into focus on community services and networking and mentoring in the entertainment field. The entertainment field includes a lot of different facets right now. So it's not just music, it's theater, it's acting. We have publishers, we have writers, um, we have people who are in sports entertainment. It's just a variety of women that
Mhm.
that have a good networking system to help other women and encourage other women and men in this industry. Now, and that's basically it on the organization. Did you want me to go into the healing arts?
Yes, I want you to really speak on what your organization,
Hmm.
how your organization kind of impacts the healing component in different ways, different the ministries and the different interventions.
Okay. Basically, I'm involved in NAPFIM, and I am also the theater arts director at my church, the Church Without Walls. Pastor Ralph Douglas West is our pastor founder. And from that ministry, I also work with the children's worship, which is known as KWOW. And I also work, I just started, well, it's been there for 25 years, but we're bringing it into the folds of getting more children and parents involved. But it's called Puppets for Christ Ministry, where I feature a puppet called Chris Rocks for Christ. And we have God's Wacky Animals. So there are a lot of different characters that we use, and a lot of it is directed towards spiritual growth, but
Hmm.
most of all towards mental health and mental growth.
Hmm.
Our community is being faced with a lot of challenges, particularly since COVID. And one thing I've learned from my own personal experience is that the arts and healing arts are they're very important. Um, my testimony can be I'm a cancer survivor, and while I was going through my cancer, I listened to
It looks like we lost her as she was sharing her story of how music helped heal her, which she has shared, and how music helped heal her through her struggle with even being aware of cancer. And I'm sure she'll come back. And Professor Harris, can you talk a little bit? Professor Harris is well informed on the healing arts, and he's currently partnering. The People's Family Workshop, which he directs, is currently working with the Women's Resource Center for Families, the Imani Faith Health Initiative, and we are reaching out in the community for families and individuals, but mainly to look for children at this time. We have two components: one where we're developing a choir, music, arts thing for adults to go out in the community to heal, and then also we're giving auditions, which he will share right now for young people who are authors. And so please talk a little bit about your partnership with the Women's Resource Center. Professor Harris, the People's Workshop partnership with the Women's Resource Center.
Thank you very much. The organization originated out of the after school sessions for composers at Texas Southern University. Um, we thought that it was very important that students were able to express their ideas about music and composition instead of just emulating the classic European masters. That's what they wanted to do. That's how it got started. And they called it the Pop Music Lab. But I saw all of that collaborative effort going on there. I saw people coming in and helping each other. Somebody could write. They could write words that made beautiful lyrics, but they didn't know how to put it to music. So the musicians and the lyric writers teamed up. And so this whole idea of teaming up brought to me the idea for call it a workshop. But it's not just a workshop, it's a laboratory where you come in and you bring your ideas and you develop them through collaborative effort. And that was so beautiful to me.
And Professor Harris, it fits so well. And when Professor Harris and I got together a while back, so the audience will know, it fits so well because we have what they call a locking arm concept, which means that you bring what you have to the table. And instead of us duplicating it, what we do is lock into your strengths. So we lock arms into your strengths. And so while it is benefiting me and our effort in the community, it also benefits you and your effort into the community. But guess who benefits most? The community gets healed and benefits the most. And so that's why I was so excited about Ms. LaCere and Professor Harris. I keep wanting to call him Pastor Harris because it's such a healing intervention. He noticed I keep wanting to say Pastor Harris, but I have actually seen people who were hurting. And we have some families we're working with now that he doesn't know that we're really in a lot of pain and transition and having difficulty. As soon as they started participating and demonstrating their strengths, and he's coaching them. So that's another portion of coaching. So can you talk a little bit, Ms. LaCere, you can chime in anytime with Professor Harris to talk a little bit about how what you do brings on healing and coaching with young people as well as adults. Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that music is probably neglected because like some of the young people I'm working with a rapper now. Another thing about what we do is we try and channel their energies, their creative energies, into things that are positive. Like we had one young man, he came in and he was talking about, his money, his millions and all of that. I said, man, look, can you find another subject to compare that with? So he came up with another one that talked more about what we do at the workshop, helping each other, working together. Mm-hmm. And I've seen so many downtrodden people look good, but look, when you play the kind of music that's going to make your head do this, that's healing. I'll tell you something else that happened to me last night. I was feeling a little tired, not too, and they brought this Time Life series on where they advertised the music of the 70s.
Oh, I missed that.
Now, that's when I came to Texas Southern University. See, my job, Prof. Butler at the time, who was the director of the Ocean of Soul, that brought me to Texas Southern University. I was at Delaware State College at the time, and he said, man, I heard you could write, and I want you to come down here and write for the Ocean of Soul. And so it was an enjoyable thing, writing for Earth, Wind, and Fire, But again, too, there's a source that I know we don't use it enough. See, we have something called YouTube now, right? Mm-hmm. And you can go to YouTube and listen to any kind of music. You can call up, say, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. How many people are going to listen to that? The young kids now, they don't even know who Earth, Wind, and Fire. And to me, that's unimaginable not to know who Earth, Wind, and Fire was. But the music and all of its different effects that it has, I think that's an important thing for them to listen to a variety of music
Mm-hmm.
because one tempo or one set of timbres, which we refer to them in the orchestra, is different than in a rock band. It's
Yes.
different in a jazz ensemble. The jazz ensemble can really cover it all because I've noticed that we've had to do that. We never were placed in front of anybody. We always closed the show when I was there in the 70s. And we were at Notre Dame and all the big schools like Eastman and all of them. And TSU would come out the winner, the winner. So anybody that came there half sleeping when TSU got on the stage, everybody had dashikis and I had a beard and hair and all of that. It was just a rocking time. And
So I got a call here. I got a
sure,
text here, Professor Harris. So
sure,
people can text me. I put it out so they can text me.
okay.
So I have a text here. Can you tell me how to use notes to heal my spirit? Can you tell me what to listen to? Can you tell me what that's about and what I can do to heal my stress and pain?
Well, there again, tempo matters a lot. If you pick something fast, it's gonna, anything that's gonna make you, you know, bop. It's gonna make your head go up and down.
Yes.
Now, when you say notes, that could mean the written note, or it could be what we really refer to as pitches, like low sounds and high sounds. Okay. You could also be referring to sounds in general without pitch. So there are so many different varieties of music. What I used to do I had a humanities class called Fine Arts and Daily Living. And I required them to go through all of the different styles of music
Mhm.
because each style offers something different. Now, I'll tell you something that I use a lot. When you say notes, I have to go into a little bit of music theory here, but not too deep, okay?
Okay.
See, we have in music, we have what is called scales. If I say do, da, dee, da, dee, da, dee, that's off of a major scale. But if I go do, 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 ee, do, dee, do, da, that's off of a minor pentatonic scale. And a lot of the folk music from around the world, but especially out of Africa, use that.
Yes.
And to me, John Coltrane was into that. And John Coltrane was the one who said that, uh, you know, music, God breathes through us so gently we hardly feel it, but yet it is our everything.
It is
And I've heard about how his day went. He would place his saxophone on the side of his bed, and when he got up, when he woke up the next morning, he would reach over and get his saxophone. He would play. He
So
would,
what you're saying is, in the whole theme of what we're talking about, that if we could learn how to hear the music, listen to the music, it will give us a frame for,
yeah,
for our direction and for our emotional self. So it widens boundaries, but it also sets boundaries in terms of how we can function in that
right.
moment.
Right. I'm finding myself more and more to tell young people. I call out a name and I say, "Have you ever heard of Billie Holiday?" They haven't heard of course. I say, "Okay, well, go listen to Billie Holiday. You're singing this song. You don't really know it, but the roots of what you're doing came out of these old people that you haven't taken the time to go and listen to. So you need to listen to Ella Fitzgerald. You need to hear Sarah Vaughan, and each one of them is going to give you a different feeling. Especially Sarah, because she had low pitches and high pitches. All right.
So
So
can
music,
can I ask
sure.
Miss Lucia to link with you on that?
All
So
right.
while you were on the pitches and whatever, Miss Lucia, how do you use what he is saying to actually integrate that with your ministry? particularly here at the Women's Resource Center, but in the community? Mm-hmm.
I use different elements. I use live performances. For example, when he was speaking of Billie Holiday, I actually wrote a play and did a one-woman show and a play on Billie Holiday. And what I did outside of the play is I had discussions with different groups about, Billie went through domestic abuse. She went through rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol. She had issues. Now, the movie didn't tell the whole story, and that's why I did it because I felt it was more entertainment, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a healing source because Billie had a lot of issues going on in her childhood that really was the backdrop to a lot of the songs that she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I learned while I was doing my research on her, I learned a lot of things, specifically on cause and effect of
Mm-hmm.
abuse and the
Mm-hmm.
different types of abuse and
And look,
discrimination. And
I
and
know.
when I
Mm-hmm.
looked at her music and looked at the woman that they portrayed, I was a little upset because I'm like, but you didn't give the cause and effect and the real reasons why uh, she was going through the things that she did. All they emphasized was the drugs and recovering from the drugs and the drinking. They never did say why those things were going on. And she was well aware of it. I had the opportunity to work with the man that actually had played with her in a group. So he was able to confirm a lot of the domestic violence, the drinking, but he was able to confirm how she wanted to have children, but she couldn't. So she worked with children. She did a lot of good things. She worked with homeless people, but you didn't
Mm-hmm.
see that part in the movie.
Yeah.
So as far as my personal thing, I use the puppets in the puppet ministry to reach the children, basically bring the children into an environment where number one, they're sharing,
Mm-hmm.
number two, they're on one accord, and number three, I allow the puppet to, I guess you might say, instantly uh, interact with them. I don't do a lot of script a lot because I never know what the attitudes might be of the children in the audience. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I let the puppets just kind of rely on the feedback that I get from the kids. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I've had occasions where when the kids talk back, they go into some deep issues about themselves.
And I think
So
one thing that
basically,
you're not including is the
mhm,
impact that you have with the young people. So, in other words, the teaching of how to respond. We have 690 some thousand
mhm,
domestic abuse cases alone of violence in Houston. Do you understand what I'm saying?
mhm.
7% of
Yes,
the population or more. And so, one of the
yes.
things your puppets and the music tends to address what he was talking about
Mhm,
style and notes, but the response of how
mhm,
how to communicate when you're upset. What do you say when you're angry? So the music is responding to it, as Professor Harris is saying, in the style, and you're helping them to learn how to respond to it through situations on there. And I think when parents are looking at this is what is important. When parents and educators are looking at this show, which we're going to send out to them, it is that this is a way of fun, it looks like, but they're learning some serious behaviors as to how to respond to traumatic situations in the community, pain
mhm,
they're experiencing, hope, and even when they just feel, quote unquote, as the young boy told me, crazy. He just can't make sense of it. So then the music helps bring that back. And I know attorney Robinette, Dr. Robinette, is trying, she just can't sit still because of the drama. And she's into the theater as well as legal through attorney. So I know she's listening. So if you do have to get off before she finishes, Miss Lucia, because I know you had a time constraint, we'll understand. But I wanted to then see what attorney Robinette, Dr. Robinette, has to say about this, because we have personal boundaries with music and whatever, but it comes over like the corpus callosum to bring balance and take away balance into the legal, because of how our responses are to the trauma in the situation. So she's both in theater, she's both law, she's both family law and business laws. So we're gonna then all of us will then share in on her conversation. Yes.
Okay, I'm chomping at the bit. I can't. It's like
I know you couldn't. I know when she was saying the one woman show and the this and that. I know. I saw you just couldn't.
Well, one of the things I really so I know that Professor Harris and Dr. Harris and Professor Harris. I'm just have to leave, but really, it's like something hit me. It did. Especially starting with Professor Harris. I don't know which one to start with, but one of the things, because I have a musical background, I got a scholarship to TSU in music. I went to Forest Brook, and Ronald Thornton was one of my band directors. So some of our guys, we have a lot of guys who went to Juilliard, some went to Berkeley. They're professional musicians right from TSU. I mean, we're talking Frank Lacey, we're talking Michael Lewis, they played
yes.
So many different entertainers. And so I feel something rising in my soul with Professor Harris talking, and that's the music. And I am realizing right now that is what can bring a people together.
I know. I'm so glad somebody understands. I'm so glad somebody in the audience, you understand. Yes.
That collaboration and music and the arts are the things, that is what we need to seek. In order, we say as certain peoples cannot bring themselves together. This is what can bring us together right here. What we're talking about right now, because I mean, it's important. Because I'm going to digress a little bit. I started off at the University of Houston, and everything. With my first degree, I went to law school at U of H, and I became an attorney through University of Houston. However, I left University of Houston and transferred to TSU. If it were not for TSU, I would not be a lawyer today, even though I did not go to TSU Law School, because when I got to the historically Black college, those professors embraced me. They wanted me to succeed. I did not feel that at the other school. In fact, many times I went into some of the classes, and because of particular attitudes, I could feel that people just didn't want me there. But when I got to my school, the love was there because they were rooting for me. They wanted me to be the professional that I am now. They fortified me and made me and shaped me into be able to go anywhere, which I did. And now I sit as an attorney. And I want all the kids to hear that, what we have for ourselves, not to the exclusion of others, but that worked for me and so many other kids. Okay. Now, when we talk about then I got a lot of notes here. I want to get to this Billie Holiday, what you talked about. We have to tell our own stories.
Yes.
We have to, because when other people put our stories together, they purposely leave those things out that further discredits our great people. And now we look at that person as just a drunk or a drug addict, when in fact there were reasons why things happen. But people don't want to bring those reasons. Then that brings me to the reasons why we no longer have many of the arts in the schools, because we know that is what's going to help to heal the children and the people.
Dr. Robinette, listen, we're stepping out, Professor Harris and I with Miss LaCere, we're stepping out. We're going to beg for money because we know in our spirit that this is what we're even doing a lot of things with no pay, because we know that this is going to heal the pain in our community. And we're calling up on our schools to look at this, that we're offering them, and that they can lock arms with us to participate, to actually bring, don't even want to use the word healing anymore, bring satisfaction, help create loving boundaries, a sense of self. And before you can love another person, you must learn to love yourself. So when you reach out, you don't reach out in bias or anger. So I'm looking at this as a harmony clinic.
Yes, yes,
This
yes.
is a harmony of bringing people together through understanding yourself and loving yourselves.
Just yes, sir, Professor Harris. I think you
Yes,
want
I would like to, on your point when you said about bringing people together, unity. This program right now is bringing people together, and we always reach out for, we don't specify any particular color. Okay.
yes.
This is the People's Family Workshop. And this year's theme is the MOLA program offers an unprecedented opportunity for showcasing the power of example, exemplifying unity, love, and harmony through a coming together of diversity on the
Right.
one for the children.
Okay, I understand that.
We need to show an example, and we need to put them under the spotlight, because look what's happening. You turn on the news and you hear where some kid is killed accidentally or whatever,
Right.
on purpose.
And that's
So
all.
let's show them something beautiful. And by the way, they're going to be better at what they do.
Yes.
Like
So
I have one lady-
tolerance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professor Harris, you're talking about tolerance. So tolerance and unity, we're going to emphasize through music, understanding other people's understanding of who we are and who they are, and our understanding of who we are. You understand? And so then through music, if it's an understanding, the arts, drawing, we're going to we have clinics where people learning to draw and express, drama clinics, things. When people learn to be satisfied with who they are and express who they are, communication change, outreach changes, connection changes. So, Pastor Dr. Robinette, you were getting ready to say something.
Yes, I have to say this because I think it's important. You see, whenever we get into these programs and we start with these programs, people of color are always, they're never on a level playing field because we never got our level straight. Never. So we bring everybody else in, but we still unbalanced. And if it were a situation where, and I see this in my office as an attorney, I know police officers who have taken youngsters who may have had some dope or whatever, marijuana, taken them home to their parents. There are other kids with the same marijuana, which I don't condone any of it, that go to jail. So there has to be more levelness in the foundation. We'll always have a rocky foundation. We start giving I know grants have certain requirements. I do know that. But we can start giving our things to everybody else when we don't have our own stuff together. And I mean, it has to start. It has to. People may not want to go along with this, but I don't care. I mean, really, we have to do things also for ourselves to be able to get more equalized and more level. And then we can give, because it's just
Right.
like you start a new job. You already, your first check, you're giving out money to everybody. So you'll never get yourself solid to be able to be the best you can be for anybody. You have to get yourself on a strong field first, and then you can give out to anybody else you want to.
I agree with that. So this is what I want to share. Uniquely, this program is doing both. So what we're doing, this program has a history component for two groups at this particular time,
Yeah.
Hispanic and African American history.
Okay.
And we're looking at the history particularly for any person of color can bring their wood. But the main thing that we're trying to do is to get other people to appreciate what each individual brings.
Yes.
So therefore, through music, two things are going on. It's an understanding of who you are as an individual. We have a young man, I don't know the name of the equipment, but it's like a harmonica, but it's a keyboard to the harmonica.
Okay.
And he has some form of slowness, as he called it, or disability. But it's helping to heal him. But he's happened to have been Hispanic. But I'm using this as an example. So now I have him to go back and look at how that instrument relates to his history. And what does it say about him? And what can he teach another person about that? And so we have this mentoring part and the learning part to level this out. So who am I? So when we do who am I, we communicate it through our words, through our music, through our movement and everything, our understanding. But you have to what? Number one, appreciate who we are.
We
So
have
that's what these boundaries, this violence and this whatever, people don't know how to protect who they are and how to communicate who they are, be it irrespective of where they come from.
Well, the reason I bought the property that I did, that I want us to be able to work together to put something for the community there. I bought it not just because it was close to downtown, which is good, like 6 minutes from downtown, but because of the community where it sits. I mean, it sits there now. We all know eventually that's not going to be the same community because they're already building high rises.
Right.
But there's an opportunity there, and I will offer that opportunity to put some programs there. I would love for there to be a music component because that is essential, as well as the mental health. Put them together and try to help more in the communities by having a place that they can come, a place where they can receive some therapy. I wish I would have sent you the video of this 11-year-old boy. I was at a place. He plays the drums. He's from the Garifuna community. I don't know if you know Garifunas. They are Honduran, and they are, black. I would say black Hondurans. Their history is such that they were on the slave ship. Some of them escaped, and they went to Honduras where they were able to develop. So that community, there are about 100,000 of them right there in the Fifth Ward area, and this little boy started playing the drums. I'm talking about with his hands.
Yes.
He's 2 years old. He's 11. I'm going to send you that video. I mean, it is incredible. They have 5-year-olds that can these people are incredible.
Well, send them to the Monday audition and send the video to me so we can encourage them. Yes.
So we have people, and like you said, the Hispanic young man who plays I know the name of that instrument. I know you know the name of that instrument, Professor Harris. It's the soprano. It has a keyboard, but it also has like a reed.
This thing, yes, that you push back and forth and make sounds. He saw it the other day with the young man.
You're not talking about that. What do you call it, Professor Harris?
In the type of a harmonica, Professor Harris.
Okay, he's not talking about the guy with the monkey. But anyway, it's real cute. And so you have, and I'm excited because of things I've thought about. Like I look at Professor Harris, I look at Dr. Lewis. I'm not too far away from the two of you, but I met a gentleman. Mr. Henry is about 83, and he has his art. He does this wire art. He has it in a warehouse over there. Just in a warehouse.
Get him over here. You need to get him over here.
That piece of art, they had it in Washington, D.C. in a museum. Now his hands, he can't do it anymore. He has beautiful pieces. I want to set up a YouTube channel to honor our seniors who have skills, who have this brilliance, who
can mentor.
We need to showcase the people who are seniors because why are we putting people on the shelf? People who are younger need to be able to glean from the masters who are now seniors. All of this is what we're talking about now. It helps the mental health because a lot of the seniors, as they continue to mature, they're no longer in the workforce. They're sitting at home by themselves. Brilliant people, artistic people. Those people need to be.
Well, help us bring them. I'll announce.
Exactly.
On Mondays,
YouTube channel.
On Mondays at 7 p.m.
Yes.
We are reaching out to the community for young and old alike. Yes. We have certain Mondays for the adults, but they can come on, and some for the youth. All we're trying to do is to find them, locate them. Professor Harris, he coaches. He helps the coaches. He gives his time coaching people so that they can meet a skill level to move on if they want to. They can be in plays, they can do whatever. We will highlight them
I want
to
to
the
highlight
community.
what
So
they do.
please send, all you have to do is give us their contact information.
Professor
Okay.
Harris.
Could I say this because my
Yes.
situation I've described is
I know,
closing.
I know. Yes, sir.
But what's happening is, one, we put it out there, but it just so happens that
Yeah.
African American people are responding, and especially Hispanics, people from Latin America. There's one kid that's singing a song that his mother wrote.
Whoa.
So this is what I'm talking about by exemplifying love. He's singing, and what makes it special is that he's singing a song that's never been heard on planet Earth, and he's doing it out of love for his mother. So that's what I meant when I said we're going to show example in all ways, and we would like for people to just send in, put your name on a list, so we show these names of support behind these kids, make them feel good, like, hey, they appreciate it. We got to do something to spotlight them right now.
Let me quickly copyright that for that young man before somebody steals it, okay?
Oh yeah, well, we went over that last night. I said, look, we got to, and I'm helping them put it on paper.
Good.
There's several ways you can copyright, but I like to do it the old-fashioned way, where you create a lead sheet and send it in. So
yes.
electricity goes out.
And we are going to really copyright this show. They're asking for it at a university. Before I send it off, Professor Harris, we're going to talk with Attorney Robinette, because it's a part of a legal. They want this information for a university to use it, and we do need to own it first before it goes off. Exactly. And so, however you can help with that, I'd appreciate it. But I'm just so excited about us being able to do this. And listen, so then when the audience leaves, before the audience leaves, we need to talk a little bit about boundaries, and from how personal boundaries, when they're not taken care of, when you have frustration and whatever, how it leads over how we think about them, and they lead into communication problems and other problems with legally.
Yes.
So I know that Attorney Dr. Robinette, you're going to be able to give us some hints, but I do want to say this. When we look at honest communication, when you ask somebody to do something, one of the things that I have frustration with, and I'm working on that this year, is when you ask somebody to do something, all you want them to do is be honest with you. Can you do it or can you not do it? But there is a behavior of people stuffing it. And then they're doing something they don't want to do. And then over a period of time, they're yelling and screaming, or they're upset, or they withdraw and they don't fulfill their obligations that they promised.
Exactly.
So then you got confused in miscommunication. And so there's certain boundaries that are hard, like certain things you're not going to do. They call them rigid boundaries.
Right.
And so rigid boundaries sometimes can be a problem, but they are helpful. Like I tell people, I'm just saying this, and we're going to look at rigid boundaries are like, I have this. Please do not hit me. If you hit me, then we're having a problem. I do not approve of you hitting me. That's a rigid boundary. Another boundary is just don't, because I walk around and I'm doing things on the computer, I have a note on my door. Please do not come to my house unannounced.
Right.
Because when you ring the doorbell, it's going to mess up a Zoom or a show. So these are things that I send out to the community. I even put a sign up to let people know. Those are rigid boundaries. Flexible boundaries are, I'm just going over some boundaries and then we're going to come back. Flexible boundaries are things like, I wanted to be sure to say, like flexible boundaries would be like, let's see, I prefer to be a vegetarian. So today I would like to just have, what do they call people who just eat seafood and vegetables, or something like something else is the name they call it. Well, I could have fish today, and I might have vegetable meatballs tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay, so my boundaries in terms of what I have today is can be a little bit flexible.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so people will know when they walk to me, they'll know what the parameters are, and they can respond to me in that manner. And then sometimes we have a combination of things, like I like music. So I may like a little blues today because I'm feeling blue and I want to start off with the blues. I want to start off with where I am. And then don't try to get me over here to be all happy first until I kind of deal with where I am. And then gradually I'll move over to some other music. When
Okay.
they're soft boundaries, those are the people that you just got problems with. I have some that promise to do something, and instead of saying they can't, you don't know if they're ill, dead, or where they are. Okay, so one of the things, some people who are rigid and some who don't have an idea of it end up having problems because they stuff their feelings
Yeah.
and they don't deal with it, the music, or they don't deal with how to handle it, and they end up doing some violence or responding to violence and those kinds of things. So
Yeah.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about, you and Professor Harris, to talk a little bit about different ways, what those boundaries look like in the legal system in
Yeah.
terms of response and what it looks like in terms of handling it with music. Mhm.
Right. I think Professor Harris wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I really have to go.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I'm so
and,
sorry.
and,
Mhm.
and I can come back. I have to get everything.
Yes. Okay. I do know
Anyway,
you have
I want
somebody working in your house.
yeah, I wanted to point out the fact that we haven't mentioned the MOLA Awards. It's the Mirror of Life Award.
I'm going to announce it for you and
Yeah,
how they can participate and sign up and the scheduling and
yeah.
everything.
You sign up and if you take an audition, not to kick you out and say you're not qualified, but we take you where you are and we take you as far as we can. And if you go far enough, you win an award. And after winning the award, you are paid, you're given a professional experience of being paid in a special play that's going to be built around your presentations from the MOLA award. So it's an educational program. Call it the MOLA program because they are going through coaching now, where they're introduced to basic theory so they can understand what they're attempting to do. How can you sing music and you don't know what pitch is? The importance of pitch. You don't know what timbre is. You can change the sound of your voice. I can sing blues. That's a change, what we call a change of color in my voice. Okay. So you learn all of these things and you put on a performance. We have what is called a final performance that's going to determine who the winners and the nominees, top nominees are. Okay.
Professor
So it's a
Harris,
lot of fun. And it's all virtual. We got to
You
mention.
can go to WRC-Houston. Somebody's asking me. And this link to Professor Harris, WRC-Houston.com. But listen, please come on Mondays at 6 because this is where it begins for all of the people. Then they move over to the Moeller program when they meet and approved by Professor Harris. So what I'm really wanting, and we're going out to the community now, and I'm saying it that way, so the schools are signing on the students, and people can come on from the community. Our email address is ips.health1, the number one, at gmail.com. That is just to get signed up. And then on that Monday at 7 p.m.,
6 p.m., man.
Professor had, I think they moved it to
Seven,
7.
okay, 7, great.
And so at 7 p.m., what we do is you can come on and read, you can do dance, you can do spoken word, you can do your own, whatever it is.
Oh,
So you can play music, you can sing, whatever the arts that you're presenting tends to be. I had a young girl call me and say, I want to do tap dancing. So I said, okay, then we'll do that. So all of those things are considered arts. We're even looking for Mr. Brown, who agreed to do drawing and arts. And so we'll follow up with them, but we'll follow up with schools as well. So we're looking to hold those. We're going to have workshops and those things for Professor Harris to review. Two things. So the ones that do not meet the Moeller Award will be in other types of plays and groups and conferences, and the ones that meet the Moeller criteria will be they will be consistently coached, and they will move to more professional level
Wow.
and be in those kinds of plays. So it's a win-win. Yes, sir, Professor Harris.
The win-win. And Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 2 hours of coaching each night on those nights. And that's a different, that's a different link that I have to send out.
Okay.
We did it last night and it went beautifully. And we're just excited about working, with all the young talent. That's how it got started. I never got paid for doing this. And I spent a lot of hours.
I'm telling you.
That was my summer gig.
Professor Harris, is there a particular instrument that you are an expert in? Because I may want some training on an instrument. Is there a particular instrument that?
My major instrument was trumpet.
Oh my God, Professor Harris, I played French horn, but I started with trumpet, but I went and bought me another trumpet, and I want to get to the point where I can go and play out some gigs. So I need you to tutor me on the trumpet. If we'll talk about that. I would need that.
Okay, I'll give up email info@pfwonline.org.
info@pfwonline.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's already met the criteria, Professor Harris, because she has been on a Monday, and she also does Saturday. But remember, she has to come on a Saturday and share her skills.
Yeah. Well, I'm a children's book author. I'm an author. I've done professional plays where I got paid. Okay, all over the city, but I want to get my brass instrument going.
Very good. I'm looking forward to this thing that you're doing. And and so look, Professor Harris. So on Monday, I know that on the 2nd and the 4th Mondays, everybody comes on and they show what they're going to do. And then they perform on the 4th and 5th Saturdays, whatever skill it is. And then they move over, the ones that we refer, move over to a link to be coached. Okay. And then those that do not meet, once he meets with them, if they do not meet that level after being coached a small portion of time, then they come in and they provide scenarios that we do out in the
we're going to
community things.
Keep giving them that opportunity, no matter what.
That's right.
All right.
I'm excited. I'm so excited about what we're doing.
It's fun. That's another way to offset. Offset if you're feeling down, you're depressed about something. Come on and join in with us. You're gonna have fun.
It's gonna be fun. It's fun.
And we want to Zoom it all over the world. We want to, we what they call it, stream it all over the world.
Yes.
That's right. Okay.
All right, Professor Harris.
All right.
Yes, it's gonna be fun. It's fun, healing, and fun.
There you go.
Yes. So, Dr. Robinette, I wish you could talk a little bit specifically about the legal touch points.
Yes.
For about people who have difficulty with boundary, because one of the things about boundary, when you're setting good, healthy boundaries, you don't worry about the outcome. When you're manipulating people, you then worry about the outcome. That's the difference. Somebody's texting me, what's the difference between manipulation and boundaries? Because don't you use boundaries? No. Manipulation is where you're worried about what you're trying to do something to get a specific outcome. Boundaries, you're trying to protect yourself from what that is out there in a healthy manner. Right. So can you talk about how that relates to
the
law and health and music? Yes.
Okay. Now, I do want to add that I have practiced criminal law for 25 years.
Yes.
I have, and we're talking, I'm going to get into the lingo right now. We're talking from dope to murder to sexual assault, all of it. I mean, any horrible situation. I have seen it. Okay. And, and I'm getting out of that aspect because it's starting to take a toll. But one of the reasons I've stayed is because when, and I'm going to say, even though I've interacted with men and women, the majority of my clients have been men. And I often want to think, is that because as children, men are restrained, boys are restrained. They are told that boys don't cry. They're told to hold their emotion. That's not a man. That's not manly. Along with that, that limits their ability to communicate the way that a human being is supposed to. With these being pent up because they happen to be male, and I am not a psychologist, but I have a psychologist sitting right in front of us.
So there's another point to this.
Yes.
When let's keep that one too. But let's say that your brain develops when you're born.
Yes.
Once you're born, then there's a separation or identity with your parents. Boys tend to have a different development of separation of who they are as individuals with their mother. Okay, being the mother generally is the primary parent. So the amount of space between an individual and who I am develops differently. Okay, and the other thing is boys are they're taught different social skills. They're taught to protect other people. Also, chemically, they have different hormones, and those hormones give energy to protect. So when boys cannot protect and develop those skills to protect and lead, it then is like a force against a jar or a force against something.
Yes.
Okay, and when the force is against something, the person, if they're not communicating in a certain way, leading or exercising and doing something with that increased energy, the energy must go somewhere.
Yes.
Biologically and historically, males are designed to be what? Leaders, protective. Just take any animal.
Yeah.
Just take any animal.
Yes.
And so when the animal is not allowed or permitted psychologically, physically to do that, then what they call recapitulate, we then reinvent the same problem and that individual becomes violent.
Yes.
So you have an internal and a psychological going on at the same time that's against the design of the system, of the human being system.
Yes.
And,
Because I remember when, and I don't know if you remember when they had the serial killers, there were an African-American male and a young boy. And once they found them, or the person, the sheriff, or the person who's head of the police department was also an African-American male, he cried publicly and people criticized him for crying, which, really hurt my heart. So you can imagine when a young man wants to cry but holds it back, then that is doing something within their system.
Yes. I call it stuffing. When you don't cry, you're stuffing all those emotions.
Yes, or not expressing the emotions. You talked about boys being with the mothers. Then when they go to school, and we talked about this before, most of the teachers are women. Okay. Yes. And so we're teaching them what we believe boys should know or should be like, when in fact, we're not really qualified to do that. So, but then the other man who teaches them, he's also going to continue with, oh, you shouldn't cry because you're a boy. You shouldn't do this because you're a boy. All that because they now are limited in their expression in many avenues. I have to say that some of them will end up in my office.
Yes.
And when I can bring a client, when a young man or even a young woman comes into my office, that is why my approach is, okay, I have to say this. This is not just bragging. You can check it out. I do have a very high dismissal rate when it comes. There are not a lot of people who've gone to prison under my watch because I work my cases. However, I always ask them, okay, when we're behind this, no matter what's going to happen, what is it that you want to do with your life? How do you want to continue? You have to show them that you care. You have to show them that someone, because a lot of people haven't when they've gotten to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to, going along with the personal boundaries, when these people come into my office, a lot of people have given up on them.
Yes.
They're not, their self-worth has been beaten down. And so what you can do is to start building this up more so that when they in this nightmare that they're in, whether they caused it or whether they did not, they can still go on and now say, well, that person was kind to me. That person helped to show me the way. And we now can do something positive in the society. Can you imagine the people coming out of prison who've been there for many years? I have a nephew who's in federal prison right now, and, he's been there for 9 years. And, and of course, every month, I take care of his needs. I help him. We talk and everything continuously, but he still has to get out. He's fortunate enough that he has a family. I've got a food truck waiting for him. I've got all kinds of things, a place to live.
Yes.
Most people don't have that. Many people, those guys don't have that, and women. So we have to, there's a large amount of society that we have to work with, Dr. Lewis. And as far as from a legal perspective, I am wrestling with finding a way to keep people informed. We're not even just talking about any particular race, even though overwhelmingly that's who you see in the criminal justice system. We're talking about keeping people informed on what things are considered right and what things are considered
right. I'm trying to do, this is what this is about. So this program that we're doing, the Healing Arts and Boundaries, this particular program is to bring on the families, particularly of those who have been in transition, having problems, to teach them healing arts while we're informing them of how to express themselves.
Exactly.
But one of the things that you brought up, I have a grandson that's incarcerated, and he may not ever get out. I don't know. I hope that he will be able to do something beneficial with helping other people at some point in time. And then, but the thing about it is that his life, or whomever is in prison, should receive information about how to set boundaries, all about what's right and wrong, and the healing arts. If we want to change, if we move from a punitive system to a rehabilitation system, or move back, may I say, we would then decrease violence in our community, or I call it relational violence, as well as other people violence in the community, because people would be able to diffuse a system appropriately, respond to situations, and also know and heal themselves prior to. So it would be an intervention and prevention system. If we look at that.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go, I'm through.
We don't, you and I know, and I have to say this publicly, when they have private prison systems or whatever, there's really not a, how do I say this? They want to keep those buildings full. Okay, I will say it like that. There is really no reason why people who are making money from this situation or who are getting free labor want to rehabilitate, or maybe they'll put a little showing of that, but there's no real push to do that from that side. We're the people from the outside going to have to try to do it with these programs.
Yes.
And we have to stick to it. Much of our time is going to have to be free. Really?
Right. Well, that's what it is. And many times when I'm reaching out to people of Latin American or Hispanic or African American descent, how we want to describe it, they want money for everything, and they don't see that the healing is the connecting, locking arms to heal your community. And when you move back, everybody will have everything that we need. Exactly. See, if each person offered to the community what you have, no one would want for anything. So the mindset of the community, there's an intervention, and they must discredit persons who say this. You just know that. You first, when you look at how to create a slave, you must first discredit the persons who are trying to heal the community.
Exactly.
And you have to create a ladder-like process to value those who do not. And then you must pit them against each other so that you can capitalize upon that. So anybody who understands that already know you're going to have to stand for something that
Right.
people are not speaking. You know, I was taught by my grandmother, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So pay
Exactly.
attention to that. And so
Exactly.
right now you had a question. We do need to have, and I'm trying to reach out to people who have legal degrees to look at help to create a balanced, informed system, and people in mental health to look at developing a council, not to go against the police. I want the police department to be included
It has to
so
be.
that they can get the officers healed to respond to the situation. So I've reached out to the police department as well to say, how can my council, to you come and we fuse together to look at how to make a change and heal the officers that are you putting in my community?
Well, the one thing that am so excited about are those states that are passing laws and helping the police, where if you see another police officer stepping out of line, abusing a person, if you don't intervene, then you can be held responsible. So
That's
this now, because I've worked for HPD, I've had 100 jobs, okay? So I've worked for HPD.
That's how to be well-rounded.
In dispatch, you know, with dispatch is the lifeline, because we're the only persons with the police officers in the chase or whatever. We're there, and we're the ones that have to keep up with him and know him in order to feed it to the other officers. But from that, I learned that you have to be able to step in, and some officers have been afraid.
I just got a note that our time has ended.
Oh shoot. But that's okay.
Okay, so
this could go on forever. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
But we have there's certain months that this team will be on. Okay, it's the fifth Tuesday. So mark it on cap, not a Thursday, but a Tuesday.
Okay.
We will tape this show that looks at this. Yes. What my goal is to send to the schools and to the correctional system this particular video. For them to begin to look at it. That's a start. And then to get the second step is to get the law schools connected with us so that we can have an information of those caring persons within the law school to help us put together this council.
The law schools are key because, and I'm going to say this real quick, because a lot of lawyers who are out here, they're so busy, you know, paying for their mansions in Sugar Land and stuff. Right. They don't want to say stuff that's going to stop their money flow.
Right.
You know, I don't care. So
right.
So really, so we have to, the law schools are key.
Okay, I do want to thank our audience. I want to thank Professor Harris for being here today from the People's Family Workshop. And I want to thank Ms. Ann Lassier for sharing from NetFam, which is a music group here in Houston, arts group, and also her puppet ministry with the Women's Resource Center Faith Health Initiative. And especially Dr. Paula Robinette, who is well-rounded, and she comes through the arts, which you know that we're doing a play. We're putting together things that will be sent to the prison system and the community and the schools. They're going to be skits for resolution. Okay, and that's what we're working on now with our drama person in the community. So anybody who wants to participate, please send me an email. Go to our website, get information, wrc-houston.com. Sign up to be a mental health coach. Please do. If you're a beautician, a barber, an attorney, a leader, or caring person in the community, learn how to heal our communities in this particular moment in time. What we're talking about today is a part of the mental health coaching. Sign up and let's make it happen. So I wanted to say this: renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect with families and communities. For it is not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines our health, happiness, and success. See you same place, same time, same place next week. Have a good one.